Hello, wonderful universe. It's Jennifer here at Eureka Astrology and Healing, and today we are going to be talking about the Scorpio new moon on October 25th, 2022. It's going to be at 5:48 a.m. Central Standard Time, so it's going to be an early morning new moon, and it's going to be a partial eclipse. This is going to be a dynamic moon, and we have a lot to talk about, and I'm going to try and talk about it with more of an archetypal story to give a little more related to it, because it's very clear in the chart that I feel that the archetype is going to be very present that day, or some of the archetypes that I see. And so with that though, first I want to talk about some of the notables, because the energies are always shifting, moving, before, after. It's this constant dance, and we want to understand what's been shifting before and after this moon, that we can understand it a little bit more. And so first, Saturn has turned direct October 22nd, so just before, it's just slowly starting to creep forward. And so for me, that's telling me, hey, our responsibilities, we are working on our inner responsibility. We're bringing it now to the streets, to the world. Time to get responsible in that outer world. And just in general, the planets are starting to move retrograde. Just a month and a half ago, 2 months, almost everything was moving backwards, right? Going retrograde, kind of putting things internally, maybe slowing things down, or, making things confusing. Not so anymore. Things are going forward. So this is a time where people are going to feel like they can get a little more done, or it's time to really take action into the outward world. Not that we're not doing a lot of internal work, because we've just now hit Scorpio season, but there's going to be more things going on in the outer world. The next thing is we're in fall. As you can see behind me, this is the morning, and this is the beginning of October. The sun is low and the birds are out and they're singing, but not so hard. And just to kind of take a note, again, we're going inward here. Things are dying, things are releasing, things are going to be decomposing soon. So take that into note, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a whole different story. But in general, it is time to let go of some things. With that, let's talk about the story that I see here, the archetype. And so first I want to start with, because, I really enjoy Raven Calder's ascriptions to the moons. This new moon is the raging moon. And depending on if you're an advanced astrologer, you may know that the moon itself is not so comfortable in Scorpio, this one in particular. And so if we think about it, a new moon, new, young, right? This moon is at 2 degrees, so it's out of 30 degrees, it's in the very beginning. Think of this as an infant. And this infant is upset. It is raging. And why is this infant raging, right? You can use so many different stories, and I'm making this one up. Say this child was born and relatively soon it lost a parent, or the mother died in childbirth. That's very Scorpionic. And then they were maybe given up for adoption for some reason. It could be something that's not so pretty and kind of a shadow reason. And then this child, say, has a very hard life because of it. This child is angry at all these kind of, I don't want to say injustices, it's just like not getting a fair shake. And also, Scorpio wants to deeply connect, and these things were taken from it. This is rageful, right? This is anger. Why is this happening to me? And also, they have no control or power over the situation. So think of this moon with that energy of, I'm not saying that people are going to be raging. However, they could be. Maybe internally at themselves, there's going to be a sense of frustration. With this moon, Venus is also there and conjuncting the sun and the moon. And Venus, again, is not as happy in Scorpio as it could be. But I see it also as desiring, wanting to kind of let this rage out. I desire feeling this and expressing this passionately, deeply. And so these are some of the darker things. But moving into it, what can we do for this new moon? All right, we're feeling these things. We're raging. Or maybe, just maybe, we're being very cordial. We've suppressed, there's been injustices to us, or there's been things that have just really hurt us, marred us. And, we feel it's wrong, but we didn't speak up. We didn't stand in our power in a healthy way. And we just shoved it down because we thought it was bad or wrong, or we were being too passionate or too bold, and maybe even a little forward, right? And then we shove that down. And then that turns into shadow pieces. And this is, no one is right, no one is wrong. We all have shadow pieces. This is something for us to remember. This is important. The shadow is just another part of the web of existence and archetypes. And so everybody has a shadow piece or pieces And the thing is, when a shadow piece gets pushed down, right, we might be able to function for a while, but then all of a sudden, you lash out at a situation that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why is this person lashing out, or why are they getting real dark all of a sudden, right? Very Scorpio. Scorpio can be dark, secretive, and potentially controlling, manipulating. All of a sudden, this energy comes out, and people are like, what the heck is going on? And the person themselves often don't really know what's going on because the shadow is in the subconscious. It's just rearing its head and then going back down. Now, on the positive with this new moon, if you can do it in a safe way, in a safe space, whether it's with a counselor, a shaman, with support, you can work with that shadow because the shadow is gold. The shadow is there for a reason. Like, it's a piece that's maybe unmet or unexpressed, that if you can recognize it, bring it to the surface, right? Scorpio, digging down deep into the things that some people don't want to see, and then you bring it out. And first, it might be ugly, right? You might not like how you look with that put on you, or when you're wearing that suit, right? Whatever that's like suit of potential like darkness, we'll call it just darkness, is. But when you see it, you can go, oh, why did this turn into this? And how can this be gold? How can this, what looks like sludge and grossness, be gold? Or how oil is actually used as something of a commodity. I mean, we don't have to go there, but just saying, like, how can this be transmutated? Very Scorpio. Transformed. Scorpio. What can we do to transform this? And instead of saying, this isn't me, and push it back down, that's not going to help. It's just going to keep rearing its head off and on for your whole life, honestly, if you don't work with it. You can go, oh, this is how this can be positive. I can express this in a way, like maybe I need to take a martial art and discipline myself, but get out my physical energy and, potentially rage. I mean, it could be anything. It could be art. It could be, there's just so many ways to incorporate shadow pieces, and there's so many, and they're so dynamic that I don't want to put them all out there in boxes, because it's going to be unique for you. And it's going to be really empowering, right? And this is how you can stop the rage. Identify it. Honor it and say, hey, I see what's going on here. But not like saying, oh, yeah, it's okay, just like, burn the building down. It's like, okay, all right, how can you channel this? And then by teaching this new moon or the shadow piece this strength, then you become empowered. It's like, oh, I don't have to destroy everything with this anger and rage that's been shoved down. This is what I can do. I can create something. I can, there's so many things. Facilitate something, heal something. It's so powerful. Scorpio is powerful. The rage comes from the being, downtrodden and misunderstood, abused, neglected, just not having it, your own power. And the power comes from going, oh, I don't have to be in that. I recognize it, and this is what I can do to transform it. And I want to read a poem about going into the other world, because shadow work is really important. We came out of Leo feeling good, right? The sun, we're losing sun here. And this is a part of a cycle of our existence. Like, there cannot be light without dark, and vice versa. There is a reason for it. It helps us grow. Like, sometimes things aren't always light and fluffy. But I wanted to read a poem from the Goddess Oracle. It's an oracle deck that I have, but it talks about Inanna going into the underworld to see her sister. Inanna was really revered. And when she gets to the underworld, it's not so pretty, right? The subconscious, going to see the shadow. So this is in regards to the shadow, and I think it's really important for everyone to hear, to think about this. And it's called Embracing the Shadow. I went there of my own free will. I went there in my finest gown, with my rarest jewels, and my Queen of Heaven crown. In the underworld, at each of the 7 gates, I was stripped 7 times of all that I thought I was, till I stood bare in who I really am. Then I saw her. She was huge, dark, smelly, and hairy, with a lion's head and lion's claws, devouring everything before her. Erskigel, my sister. She was all that I am not, all that I have hidden, all that I have buried. She is what I have denied. Erskigel, my sister. Erskigel, my shadow. Erskigel, myself. And so the reason I'm reading this is because there's a lot of aspects going on, but I feel like this is so powerful. With the eclipse, right? The eclipse, like the light is gone even more. And so usually like, oh, something's blacked out. But like for me, this is shadow. So like this is the shadow coming out. This is actually being like the dark revealed even more. So this is coming out. And I mean, we can speculate about the world, but I think this is something we should work with personally, because we're in Scorpio season. This is the time to dig deep. this is the gold that we have, because if you don't let that gold transmutate and work for the better, it will, like I said, stick with you. It can be hard, it can be heavy. And you have to remember, so we've got these aspects in Scorpio. Uranus is still over across in Taurus going like, well, what about your value? Your sense of value could be coming in here, and you might be redefining yourself in a whole new way, and what you value and what you value in yourself and others and on this whole planet. As you dig into the shadow, maybe you find out you're actually materialistic and you thought that you weren't. Maybe you thought that you were a really kind person, but actually you're really cruel. You know, not always, but like these things, like they live inside of us. And when we just say no, 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 we're not in our power. And this is about taking your power back and not abusing it. And it's not like wielding it like a flaming sword, because that's what the raging moon is. It's a flaming sword, cutting things down, tearing it down, because all of it's just not right, and you're angry. And right, this anger is real. It's for a reason. This is not undue anger, but this is anger that needs to be channeled, recognized, and honored. With that, there are a few other aspects that I want to talk about. You don't want to just give it all to this eclipse, but I mean, I think we're going to feel it. And I think doing the positive shadow work is the way that we can really move through this, like working in the positive. Like, how can I fix this? But so we talked about Venus being there. So we're going to desire digging things up, actually. Like this, like it's going to seem alluring. Like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, I'm not afraid anymore, right? Like this poem going in, like I chose to do this. I wasn't thrown down here. I went and did this. But again, that's more empowering than being forced into having to deal with some of this stuff. What I want to say is another aspect. Pluto is squaring Mercury. And I feel like that brings up even more of the underworld stuff, Pluto, and especially around power and structure. Like, where are maybe you abusing your power, and like, is it coming out verbally? Like, someone wants justice, like you're thinking about justice at the same time, and you're like, whoa, I'm trying to control this situation though. Like, is that really justice? I don't know. And the crows are giving us a confirmation here, speaking of Scorpio and the underworld. They are very scorpionic. So, you know, harbingers of the underworld. So again, the theme, you know, these things are going to come up. And like I said, potentially with power dynamics of larger authority, but our own authority too. It might not be so pretty. The other aspect that I see here is that we also have Mars squaring Neptune. And so what I feel like in this, and Mars is about to, in just a couple days, so it's moving really slow, station retrograde. And this happens only every 2.5 years. And this is going to be in Gemini. So like redoing information, the way we think about things, the way we say things, and like, oh, we find that some things were lies. But right now it's still direct, but it's going really slow. And it's getting squared by Neptune in Pisces. To me, you don't want to say misinformation, but like, you know, the dream can be trying to come out, right? But like the dream versus the reality and the facts, even though like Gemini's not about facts, but like things coming out. But I think it's more of an illusion. Like someone may be like, well, again, like I don't have shadow pieces, and like, you know, swear up and down the river and just move forward. I don't need to do this. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. Well, when Mars goes retrograde, I feel like that illusion's going to be shattered in a couple of days. Like if you kind of suppress this, you know, the energies that come out for you, it's going to be unique. It's going to be individual. Wow, those crows are loud. It's going to be unique for you. It's going to be really, I think, hard as the Mars goes retrograde, even though it's not aspecting this. It's just saying, like, don't kid yourself, don't kid others. And I thought, overall, what can we do here? So, like, we're working with our shadow pieces. That's what you can do in a healthy, positive, safe environment, first and foremost. And how can you incorporate it? And then my goal is thinking, I thought, you know, think about, we just came out of Libra, Mercury's in Libra. Try to bring what we just had in Libra season about balance and fairness and justice, bring that on in. Try to bring balance to the situation and make sure that you're not digging so deep that you don't remember that, yeah, there's light parts in the world, okay? Like, don't get lost in the shadow piece. There's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this about myself, and then just like get obsessed, very scorpionic with just doing that work. Try to make sure you bring stuff in light in. With that, I feel like hold on, be kind to yourself, but be accountable. With that, I'm Jennifer at Eureka Astrology and Healing. May the stars guide you and the plants ground you. And if you like what I do, or you want to know more, because this is going to be very unique and specific for you in your own chart, this is going to be in a specific house with specific aspects. You know, I do consultations, astrological consultations, where I'd be happy to work with you in this, because I think this is transformative for everybody, not just Scorpio or fixed signs. Ciao for now.